The Empire Files retells these stories, retells these narratives, uplifts the voices of those marginalized and oppressed people who haven't had their chance to tell their stories, and reclaiming the narratives that have been written by the victors.
That they have to blank us out, that they have to disappear us, should be taken as testimony to how very powerful our movement is for people, for planet, and for peace over profit. We have a very powerful movement on each of those fronts, and if we join them together, we're absolutely unstoppable.
But to me, actually, I think there's a much more compelling moral principle, which is that we ought to be most concerned about the evil committed not by governments thousands of miles away from us, over which we exercise no influence, for which we have no responsibility, and which we cannot change, but our own governments who are engaging in these atrocities in our name.
Well, first they are getting Julian, then they will get you, me, everyone. This is a clear struggle for freedom of the press and for the right of citizens to know that which governments are doing behind their backs, supposedly on their behalf.
I want to emphasize that anyone who says the United States of America isn't an empire is smoking some really low-grade stuff. We are an empire, and our reign is imperial, and it is increasingly the more adverse aspects of imperialism.
And we saw that same year, the Project for a New American Century appeared. It was basically a collection of neocons who declared that we should exploit the post-Cold War unipolar order, where America was the lone superpower, to establish benevolent hegemony.
Whether they're journalists or people in power, I think showed how much contempt they have for average people in not giving them the facts, giving them this phony spy thriller narrative, and not focusing on real issues, not taking on real power. It's easy it's easy and comforting to think that Trump is controlled by Russia, and we have to stand up to that. It's harder to actually say, let's take on the real forces of power in this country.
This hyper-frequency trading that provides no net benefits to the world, aids the sleaziest folks, and creates an enormous, what we call systemic risk, a risk that the whole system can be brought down. It is crazy, and that is emblematic of so much of finance. It's a rigged system, and it's crazy. It creates crises.
We can't solve the climate crisis until we change everything, to use the title of Naomi Klein's wonderful book. I think what she actually meant when she wrote that book, and I think what I've come to think, is that the climate crisis is actually an opportunity to change a lot of things, and that if we change some of those things, it'll have effects on the rest of the system.
If you look over the record of the past 70 years, it's a virtual miracle that we've survived, literally. There are a number of times when the world has come literally a few minutes from a terminal nuclear war.
Modern monetary theory is a school of thought in economics that starts with a simple recognition that in most countries, the currency itself is a simple public monopoly, which is to say that the currency is issued by the state. And because the state is in control of its currency, is the issuer of the currency, it can never run out of money. It can never be forced into default.
One of the turning points in American history is the Spanish-American War in 1898, followed by the U.S. occupation of the Philippines in 1899, and the massacre that goes on there for the next few years. So the United States began to change. Whereas the United States was once a leading democratic, even pro-revolutionary nation, having been born in revolution itself, the United States gradually becomes the world's leading counter-revolutionary force.
No board of directors, supervisors, capitalists at the top deciding what you produce, how you produce, where you produce, and what to do with the profits. Instead, you democratize the workplace. You say that all the people that come to work in a store or an office or a factory together, one person, one vote, make all those decisions. That's all. It's not very complicated. And as I say, it has existed from time immemorial.
There is hope. There is hope as long as we can gather here, as long as we can give a voice to those who don't have a voice anymore. Free Chelsea Manning, free Julian Assange, free all the whistleblowers who are in prison today.
Call all my activists, all the volunteers of this organization, from translating, correction, design, to putting up production, to just being out there distributing the flyers. I want to call you guys all on the stage, all the team of acTVism. Please come on stage. Reese. Come on, guys, don't be stage fright. Put it on. Come on. Mike, Winnie, Valentina, Sarah, Miriam, Leonardo, Sasha, Clemens, Flo, Jonas, Chris, Lars, Thomas, Lucas, Marco, Nemo. Come on, Daniel. Daniel.